Greetings and salutations. I can start right back with some more Raid Shadow Legends, and today I thought we'd talk about Rugnor Goldgleam, who was one of the fusion champions for Pixneal, the holiday fusion from over the holiday break. I popped an ancient shard on my free-to-play account and got Pixneal, so I was able to abandon the free-to-play slog of trying to fuse that champion. But I did have enough material to get her to 60, played around with her at max level, and was kind of disappointed. Didn't really like the champion, so I also abandoned trying to get her on my main account here, and instead kept the epics that I was able to fuse. And Goldgleam is great. I really enjoy this champion a lot. And let's go over a few reasons why, shall we? Okay, let's look at Thirsty Axe's A1. Attacks an enemy, 50% chance of placing a leech for 2 turns, and you can get that chance up to 60%, which admittedly is low. Grush you get as a login reward, I think. I can't remember where Grush is from off the top of my head. I think he's a login reward, but he has 75% chance when he's booked. But that's neither here nor there. The point is Leech is a great end game debuff, especially on an A1. There's not a lot of champions that have Leech at all, let alone on an A1. There are some smatterings here and there. Their utility is debatable depending on who they are. But having this 60% chance when booked on an A1 is great for endgame. You know, after you've gotten your Tier 6 masteries, you got your Giant Slayer or your War Master, Leech can really help you kind of get away from lifesteal gear that you've probably been using to get through a lot of endgame content before you've gotten your Tier 6 masteries, or even after you've gotten them, you've probably still used it. But Leech can help you move away from that and kind of focus your champions more on what they do best rather than just trying to keep them alive. So again, Leech, good endgame debuff. Not so good in the early game, but endgame, sorry, I got cat hair. But endgame, Leech is fantastic. Okay, Gold Mad Frenzy is his A2. And this is kind of a hit and miss skill. It's on a fortune cooldown natively. You can get it down to 3 turns with only 1 book, which is kind of cool. But sacrifices hit points equal to 15% of this champion's max hit points. Then fills this champion's turn meter by 75% and places a shield buff on this champion equal to 20% of their max hit points for 3 turns. The shield buff cannot be removed. So that's good. And the hit point sacrifice will happen even if it kills the champion. And it will ignore shield and block damage buffs. That's bad. But it doesn't happen often, right? I mean, it's one of those things. It's a inverse effect of a pretty good skill. But on its own, just depending on the gear you have, this can either be good or bad. I tried to make it good by gearing him a certain way, which I'll get into in a moment. And I guess what I don't like about it is that there's no attack involved with it. But again, that can be mitigated, and I'll show you how in a little bit. Okay, Gleam of Avarice is his A3. 5 turn cooldown natively. You can get it under 4 turns when booked. 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks an enemy. 75% chance of placing a 25% weaken on the target for 2 turns, which is good, doing more damage. Also, there's a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense buff on the target for 2 turns before attacking. Putting a decreased defense and a weaken on a target is ideal, and again, there's that synergy with Whisper, who's another fantastic champion that really feasts on targets with both of those debuffs with a nice extra hit. Okay, so let's go on before I get into this. Let's just go on to the passive. Decreases the cooldown of the champion's Gleam of Avarice skill by 1 turn every time this champion loses 15% hit points. Okay, so what does the A2 do? Loses 15% hit points. So the passive triggers a lot. The hit point loss is accumulated and tracked over multiple turns. Attacks or hits is not affected by healing or other HP increases. Okay, so we can see that these skills work really well together. We have weakens, we have leeches, we have decreased defenses, increased attack. This is a really well-built, well-skilled attack champion. Okay, so and you can make him even better. Okay, what I did was I put him in Frenzy. Okay, a little refresher because not many people necessarily use Frenzy. Plus 10% turn meter for every 5% hit point lost. Okay, so again, he has his A2, which knocks off 15% of his hit points every time, so we're going to get 30% turn meter every time that happens. So there's a really good synergy with Frenzy Gear there, which is good because, you know, sometimes you have all this gear accumulating in your vault and you have no idea what it's used for, if it's any good. Well, finally, there's kind of a use for it here. This makes a not too fast champion. His speed's 99, which isn't bad, but you can kind of not necessarily focus too much on speed substats because you can kind of manipulate his hit point, his turn meter in other ways. So that's kind of cool. It's a way to make this champion good by focusing on other stats. So I have a Fatal in his weapon and shield slot. Probably would have been overall better to just have had like a crit rate or what have you, but there's really good substats on these two things. Like this, there's a double roll crit damage, double roll crit rate on the shield. Got to use that, right? And then I had accuracy, which I need accuracy to land all his debuffs, and I didn't want to put an accuracy set on there, so I was able to get those from substats as well. And then, of course, using an accuracy banner. So I got his accuracy up to around 200. You want at least 200 accuracy in this end game content, so 198, yeah, you know, I could probably find some ways to squeeze 2 more points out of stuff, but I just didn't want to invest the time or silver or runes to do so. Okay, so his total stats, when all is said and done, after taking all those things into account, almost 40,000 hit points, 4,000 attack, 1450 defense, 154 speed, which I know is low, okay, but again, we can manipulate his turn meter in other ways to kind of make up for that. It doesn't help him on the first turn, but after that, he's good to go. Crit rate, again, super low, 46%, but if I can, I run dungeons with Luthia, which is a 33% crit rate speed lead, so that brings him up to a respectable over 75%. Crit damage, 246, gotta love that, and then, of course, his accuracy at 198. Okay, so this is a pretty well-built champion. So let's look at his masteries real quick. The only thing that's kind of unusual, I guess, is that I went for the hit points instead of accuracy. Again, because I didn't want to overkill on accuracy. I mean, if I was in Platinum Arena, I might want to switch that up. But for now, I wanted his hit point bar to be pretty flexible because he does damage to himself. And I wanted him to have enough hit points to lose so he could use Frenzy to increase his turn meter. So that's why that's the way it is there. And of course, gone to War Master because he has the one hit A1. Okay, and then I did a bunch of other things to try to increase his speed. Okay, sorry, I can't talk right now. No, hang up. No, hang up. Okay. So, let's just look in. I'm not redoing this video again because my phone keeps ringing. It's like literally the 3rd time I've started it. And you know me, I don't edit. I can't do those things. Okay, so let's look into some content here. Come on, Rugnor, where do you want to go? Let's go to Ice Golems. Okay, so he's in, there's, like I said, my Luthia lead. Love her as lead if you can get away with it. I know having too many attack champions can be squishy, but here I am running with, you can't really see them because they're perfectly veiled. I have Martyr. Is that Luria? Luria is over there. The Duchess, and of course Ragnar. Again, that's 3 attack champions. That's because I have totally OP defense champions in Martyr and Duchess. It's kind of crazy. It kind of lets you let loose with your attack champions, which you know, is great. You know, there's so many awesome attack champions, but to survive some of this content, you can't bring them. You can bring like one attack champion, and then you need a bunch of buffers, debuffers, and defenders to keep that one attack champion alive. But with this setup, it's kind of crazy how good they are. And now, if you've been watching and not listening to me blabber, Ragnar is putting out some really good damage numbers. Yeah, let me take out Draco Harp like with nothing. Now there we go. Man, he's really cranking it. And again, you see how I usually build attack champions. If you've been watching my videos, I build them more for survivability, right? 88,000 hit. I build them more. I usually give them, a hit point percentage chest, but he's running a 60% attack chest, which is a luxury that I rarely have. But with his leech and the decent support that he has, I'm able to be more flexible and not, be overly compensating with hit points. Another over 100,000 hit. He hits for if he hits well and triggers his tier 6 ability, he's hitting for 160,000 a hit sometimes, which is awesome to see. And if you watch, I don't know, yeah, there we go. So he was able to get his A2 and do his A3 immediately after, because of the way that the frenzy is filling up his turn meter and his passive also. So it's all contributing, and so he's able to take his A2, which doesn't attack. You're usually actually able to attack with it right away. So it kind of is an A2 and an A3 kind of combined into one, which is pretty sweet. It doesn't always happen. I mean, it just depends on if everything lines up together. But when it does, it's pretty devastating. I feel guilty that I didn't answer the phone. That was Kay calling. Wonder what she needs. I guess I'll find out when this is over. Okay, so got our leeches up. We got some nice debuffs going. Luthia is taking a nap, taking a little dirt nap, but Duchess brings her right back, no problem. And Veils her, which also minimizes damage by 15%, which is pretty sweet. Duchess is so OP. Nice, 45,000 on just an A1. Nice, 111,000 hit. Man, Rugnor is fun. Rugnor's a really fun champion. Comment down below if ever since Rugnar's come out you kind of lead on him for a lot of content, because he is pretty fun. Alright, and he of course gets the killing blow. He did 1.3 million, which is even more than Luria, even though they're built similarly. So a good time had by all. Did it in 437, which is maybe a little long for this, because I didn't bring Poisoners, which is really good on Ice Golem. No Cold Hearts. Only a counterattack. That was the only special thing I had. So not bad at all for that. And let's go. We'll do a little arena thing. We got a Skull Crown, Sile, Miscreated Monster, and Drexthar. So what are we gonna do? Okay, so we're gonna block. Go over there. Block Skull Crown's. Use Hope to block Skull Crown's unkillable, and then when the time comes. Yeah, okay, so that's his A2, but I wasn't sure exactly if it was going to trigger his A3, so I wanted to get rid of Skull Crown right away, so I'm just going to skip right over to his Gleam of Avarice, trigger that instead, and lay it on Skull Crown and see what happens. Okay, Skull Crown's down, and that's because Hope was able to block the unkillable Dwarf. Alright, and because Martyr was stunned, I used the Provoke from Torment instead. Alright, and we'll take out the Reviver with a nice 80,000 hit. Create a nice freeze. Now we'll see if we can get the Provoke in on this Miscreated Monster. No heals for you, sir. No crit. Again, there's no Luthia here, so I don't have a crit lead in my arena team. So he only has 46% crit rate. So, but still, I was able to take out this team who was, about 31,000 points higher than me, just by knowing the skills of my team and knowing that I could counter what they were doing. Alright, so let's move on to, this is the Dwarf Crypt, stage 13. Again, I don't have a very developed set of dwarves, So I just have Rugnor, Tormund, and Molly geared and ready to go. Grizzled Jarl is someone that I just started building. I've had him for forever, but I forget why I was building him. But I figured I needed him for something, and so I just started building him now. And then Fellhammer is... he was really well geared several months ago, so now he's not really well geared anymore. So because I've gotten much better since then. But so overall, this team was just kind of okay. So this is just stage 13. It took 3 minutes, but you see Rugnor did his part to take it out. And remember, it's all single target damage, so he does a really good job taking out things in one hit, which is really, really nice. Okay, moving on. Okay, this is where Rugnor really shines in Nether Spider. This is floor 90, right? On normal, not hard. Okay, there's a bunch of different ways to try to get a Nether Spider, and I had been shying away from doing his from reducing his turn meter because I wasn't sure if the amount of damage he did would overwhelm my champions, no matter what gear they had, and if they had lifesteal, if they had healers, if they had rezzers. I didn't know what the kind of damage output the Nether Spider would do if I was going to be able to overcome it. Well, you can, it turns out, with Leech and your tier 6 masteries. You can definitely overcome it. So hit him with the Leech on A1, and I have him Foley in here also. And the only reason I have Foley in here is for his Bio Disruptor, which puts on a Leech also. So because, again, I have a 60% chance of Leech, and the very first time I did this, he did not put down a Leech at all during the entire fight. I could not believe it. My RNG was so bad. He did not trigger Leech, and we died very quickly. But once Leech is put up, and you're able to, heal, and I have Drake's Side of the Drakes in here, only at level 50 too, so that's, you can kind of see how tough this champion is. So she's, throwing up some heals every time she has a turn, and then I have two opportunities to put down a Leech for 2 turns, so it's almost always up, and you can see that we are healing quite nicely from our damage output combining with Leech. And then, of course, the tier 6 masteries are healing you back also, and doing a lot of damage. And you see that 136,000 every time it triggers is pretty decent at this level. So you can overcome the turn meter. I was scared to death, thinking that I would have to find some way to get the buffs up constantly. I was going to say, do I need to raise up my battle sage? I wasn't sure what to do to overcome all those spiderlings, but the best thing to do is just not let them spawn ever, and not let the boss ever take a turn. Right? The boss is going to do damage to you, because of what you're doing, reducing the turn meter. But as long as those stupid little spiders don't appear, and you don't have the all those poisons and counterattacks and ally attacks to deal with, it's so much easier. It's so much easier to deal with the turn meter than it is to deal with all those stupid little spiderlings. So that's how you should approach this boss. And Rugnor, as you can see, Allure did some nice damage too. But Rugnor came out on top. He's awesome. This is a really great champion, and especially if you're having problems with Nether Spider, because I hated that boss for so long until I just fully committed to not making the spiderling spawn at all, and that was the key to my being able to pass the later stages of this boss. So hopefully that helps you too. All right, I don't think I have anything else. What's this one? Nope, that's it. Nope. No, I don't have anything else. So that was all the content I did. So good. So hopefully, if you have a Rugnor kicking around, or if you fused him and did not get Pixneal, or you have to, I don't know what your situation is, but if you have a Rugnor, I highly recommend that you put him up to 60 and make use of him, because he's quite awesome. He has a fantastic set of skills that all work well together and are really good in a lot of different content. Alright, so thank you for watching. If you liked it, throw me a like, subscribe if you feel so inclined to want to see more of this, and of course comment down below if you whatever you think about Rugnor, how you use him in your teams. If you do something different besides Frenzy, there's a bunch of opportunities to make this champion a bit more versatile. Let me know what you did. Alright, thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.